Well, I think the immediate impact is people are questioning the credibility and competence of policymaking in China. All along, the comfortable assumption was that policy was on top of things, and while there were challenges in China, competent policy would take care of those challenges. Their intervention in the stock market and the way they are managing the currency has raised doubts among investors, whether rightly or wrongly, whether the Chinese policymakers are still as adept and as competent as before. That loss of confidence is really creating a huge increase in investor risk aversion, and that risk aversion is being felt across all emerging markets, leading to capital outflows.
Well, the 12th National Congress will be held this month from the 20th to the 28th, and the most important thing is the leadership. There are more people contesting the top leadership posts than ever. There's a shroud of secrecy, and much is at stake. But ordinarily, anybody who's over 65 on the political bureau must retire, and anybody who's served 2 terms in office must retire. And that would only leave 5 people out of the 16-member current Politburo. They can make exemptions. But this year, the Prime Minister, Nguyen Thanh Dung, is asking, or trying to become Party Secretary General, and there's a movement to try to block him. So we still don't know. Between now and the Congress, there'll be a party plenum. But if he's elected for the first time in the history of Vietnam, the Prime Minister will be someone who actually knows something about the world. He won't be an internal party man that's only concerned with politics and domestic issues in Vietnam. So Nguyen Thanh Dung, Prime Minister for 2 terms, he knows everybody around the world. He's been through the global financial crisis. He's a Vietnam firster. He wants to integrate Vietnam with the global economy. He wants to push DPP, and he'll be more critical towards China and more positive towards the United States. But it's a work in progress. We have to see whether the current Central Committee has voted for each of the top 4 positions: Party Secretary General, State President, Head of the National Assembly, and Prime Minister. We don't know what the ballot is at the moment, and they're going to have to decide if they can give 1 exception and that, or more. And in the past, the exemption has always gone to the Party Secretary General, not to, in other words, but also Prime Minister Dung is retiring from 1 position, and what's unprecedented is he wants to shift to another higher level position. So he's who'd like to be the Vladimir Putin of Vietnam, President and Prime Minister, President, move back and forth between 2 roles. In his case, Prime Minister, Secretary General.
China's reaction to the TPP, at the beginning, I think China was quite suspicious of what the TPP was about. Okay, and many in China treated it as another conspiracy on the part of the U.S. To contain and isolate China. But over time, I think more and more Chinese began to view this as a self-interested attempt on the part of the U.S. to revitalize its own economy through promoting a freer version of the international trading system. Of course, China is not ready to join the TPP yet. It has set quite high standards, but increasingly, people in China believe that we should make more efforts to improve our situation so that we can eventually join the TPP. Okay? They believe that it's in China's interest to make efforts to reform China's economic system, to make it more competitive and more open, and of course more acceptable to TPP. Okay? In the meantime, China, of course, also made efforts to promote its own, another thing, that's RCEP. China, this institution, the barrier to join this institution is much lower. But it's also an attempt to further liberalize the international trading system. This is a sort of interim step to, for China to ultimately to get ready for the TPP kind of international trading arrangement.
It's Tokyo's perception of the importance of Southeast Asia is changing. Now we consider Southeast Asia is more important than before for two reasons mainly. Japan's oil imports are coming through the Strait of Malacca, South China Seas, and so forth. Therefore, it depends on the 85% of oil imports are from these areas, from the Middle East. Therefore, consider that Southeast Asia is a very important geopolitical areas in that sense. We also consider that the stability, political stability and economic viability of Southeast Asia is very important for us because we do trade a lot with Southeast Asia, but also we look at other countries like China that is growing. We would like to see partners, many partners in Asia. And Southeast Asia is a primary partner for us to be able to talk with them and work with them in order to try to restrain China's activities in Southeast Asia, particularly in maritime Southeast Asia.
It's true that U.S.-China relations have become more competitive, especially in the Asia-Pacific regional environment. But we're also partners. Look at what we're doing on climate change. Look at our cooperation on health and many other functional areas. And we're working to make the global economy more stable as well. So it's a mixture of competition and cooperation. But it's true that, especially in the Asian context, we're seeing a lot more competition than we used to.